The Carolina Panthers get an extra day of rest, which actually means a shorter week after the 49ers game as the Rams come into town. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and jump into today's episode, get you caught up on all the latest Panthers news, and talk about this potential playoff push. Let's go.
Brace yourself for the ultimate Carolina Panthers experience. Welcome to Two Growls, One Roar, the podcast that hits harder than a Luke Kuechly tackle. We're diving deep into the heart of Panther Nation, bringing you unrivaled passion, insider takes, and pure gridiron fire. From Wilmington to the cosmos, this is your home for the fiercest football talk east or west of Charlotte.
Welcome in, folks, to another edition of the Two Growls, One Roar podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. As always, I will ask if you can, please subscribe. And if you are on there, and there's a lot of you guys on there, make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and of course, on your podcast platforms, give me 5 stars. That's all I ask for. Give me 5 stars. 5 stars. Please help us boost up. Doesn't matter. All right, let's get into it, folks. Here we are, a day after the Carolina Panthers' historic performance from Bryce Young, franchise record-setting numbers, hitting the dab in the locker room. It's a fun time to be a Carolina Panthers fan, at least for one more day with this wishy-washy season, the roller coaster that we are on. I will take this every day of the week. Now, middle of that game, first half, like we can all admit, at least I will openly admit that, yeah, I was nervous about this team this season, where things were going, a strong feeling that the Carolina Panthers had fallen off the roller coaster, that things were coming to a halt, but they put it back on the tracks. They figured out how to get it going, and here we are continuing to play meaningful football. Every day that this goes by, that we have a chance, that we're in the month of November, now getting past the middle of the month of November to have an opportunity, that's all that I can ask for as a Carolina Panthers fan, given what we've had. Now, you don't get this far at this point in the season and say, all right, that's it. Folks, 11 games into the season. Now the Carolina Panthers have a real opportunity. It's not going to be an easy opportunity. I went back last week and I told you guys that the playoff push started now with the Atlanta Falcons. We know how difficult it's going to be for the Panthers to get into the playoffs, but to be a playoff team, you have to beat a playoff team, and they're going to have an opportunity to do that on Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, a game that I'm excited about. Now, some folks are trying to make this run that the Panthers are going to have to go on something that it isn't, as if there's this bad animosity with the team that's here today and the players. And some of the former players, primarily Christian McCaffrey, like, okay, you got to go through CMC and the 49ers. I get it. There's partly a story there. And you got to go through Baker Mayfield twice. And you got to go through Sam Darnold. So it's making it kind of something that it isn't in a way. But if that's your storyline and the narrative that you want to drive forward, so be it. On tankathon.com, which I'm using as a source right now, Carolina Panthers have the third toughest remaining schedule. And what I continue to tell fans is we need chaos to unfold. 10 wins may not be enough. 9 wins, probably not enough, but 10 wins, not enough unless there's chaos within the division. And chaos within the division is really Tampa Bay falling apart, which is a possibility. The unfortunate thing is they have the 29th easiest schedule moving forward. Toughest remaining opponent for them, it's going to be the Rams. Now, there's a good chance that they fall to the Rams. If the Panthers can figure out a way to squeak one out against the 49ers, you are then talking about a team who has a chance within the NFC South. Now, we talked about this on the live stream and for the episode, if you guys listened yesterday, Tampa's schedule is just so much easier. Of course, Carolina twice, the Rams we mentioned. They have the Saints. Now, Saints upset us, so you never know. The Cardinals, the Falcons, and the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins playing better football as of late. But comparing the two schedules together, it's one where if you are thinking the path runs through the NFC South for you to get in, maybe a little bit bumpier. Now, you control your own destiny as it is right now. You can't control what happens around you, but you can hope for chaos if you are a Panthers fan. And what that chaos looks like, we started to, or at least I started to dive in. How do you get there? And I think it's important for the Panthers to get to that 10-win mark. Currently, as we know, sitting with 6 wins at 6-5. So you start to track, how do you get to 10? New Orleans would be 1. You at least have to get 1. Honestly, you may have to get 2 between the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers, and then stealing 1 from Tampa Bay. And if I did my math correctly, that would put you at 10 wins. Now, you want to talk about a team that maybe goes out and shocks if they can knock off the 49ers. If they knock off the Rams, then it's like, okay, I'm not going to be too worried about Seattle coming to town. And I'm definitely not going to be worried about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, I will feel like, even I still feel like it now, but I will feel like Carolina Panthers may have a legitimate chance. And honestly, I talked about this, and that's another storyline I like to just go through. Winning your division is the easiest way to get in. Just better odds in front of you. Right now, it's a 2-team race with the Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A good opportunity for them to get in. But like I said, if you're trying to go through rooting for chaos, you need some teams in front of the Panthers to fall apart. Green Bay Packers have the toughest remaining schedule. The Bears twice, the Broncos, the Lions, the Vikings twice, and the Baltimore Ravens, who hopefully figure out how to play okay football. Chicago Bears have the Eagles, Packers twice, 49ers, Lions, Pittsburgh, and the Browns. So Chicago doing pretty well right now, but hopefully they're going to drop a few. Then in front of them, as far as the Panthers, you have Seattle. Remaining schedule, not that difficult with the Rams once. Colts, okay matchup there, and the 49ers. We talked about the 49ers schedule. Colts, Seahawks, Bears, Tennessee, and Cleveland on the easier side for them. But that's really what you're going to need. You're going to need some of those teams within the NFC North as well as the NFC West. I can't talk there for a second, but the NFC West to crumble. And you know what? This is football. You don't want to back into the playoffs. You want to take care of your business. And guess what? You can take care of your business and, punch your ticket by yourself going with the path that we're on right now, because getting a head-to-head win over the 49ers, who's likely competing for a playoff spot, same thing with the Seahawks and the Rams, having that head-to-head tiebreaker, if things do get tight down the stretch, which we assume they will, that's important. Now, what kind of sets the Panthers up in a weird spot for some of this is you look at Green Bay, who has the tie. Although the Panthers have the head-to-head, with Green Bay having a tie, it inflates their win percentage, can hurt the Panthers in a way. Hopefully they fall a few more games there. You also think about the fact that we're not going to play the Minnesota Vikings. You're not going to play the Detroit Lions. So some of these teams are just not going to naturally get a head-to-head tiebreaker. But if you take care of business with the teams that you do have, you should put yourself in position to have a shot at the playoffs. And like I said, coming into the season, you looked at the over, the unders, the win totals, the 6.5. Panthers, as Panthers fans, I think we all thought 7 wins was a good mark. But a lot of us, part of us, even me, was talking myself up into 8 to 9 to 10 wins. It would be disappointing to get to 9 or 10 and then not make the playoffs, but at least showing this progression, do what you can do. And man, who else wouldn't want this, especially coming off the showing that we had against the Atlanta Falcons? I think the biggest question is, I was jotting down some notes, just like thinking through this week, what are some of the potential headlines that we're going to have for the Carolina Panthers? And let me go back because I put them on here. Number one, centers around Bryce Young coming off the franchise record performance, 448 yards. Has he turned the corner? Now, we'll find out. He's going up against a 49ers defense that is good, but maybe missing a few pieces there. What are we able to do? It's going to be prime time, all eyes, at least partially all eyes, I would think. Pretty good turnout for a preview of a potential playoff game. So all eyes are going to be there. What can Bryce Young do? And man, if we can get the version of Bryce that we had, now he's not going to throw for a franchise record every day, but if we can put up that 220, 225, doing enough, getting the ball around with an offensive line performance that wasn't that great. He was sacked 5 times. Now, part of it is the bum ankle. And for me and us, as we watch this week, that's going to be a big storyline. The status of Bryce Young's ankle. We are not going to get the official injury report from the team until Thursday because the game is on Monday. So typically it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll get Thursday, Friday, Saturday for all of our updates this week. So shifts the calendar back a little bit, which is a good thing in a way for Bryce Young and his recovery, getting an extra day of rest and everyone else. Now, to the flip side, it's kind of like daylight savings when you get an extra hour, but in reality, a few months from now, you're going to spring forward because you're going to come out of the Monday night football game and get a short week because then you have to turn around. And it's not that short. I mean, it's one day, but still one day makes a difference. And it's not only the fact that it's one day that you lose. It's honestly almost 2 days because the Carolina Panthers are going to be finishing up that game Monday night across the country. Now, I'm not in charge of the logistics and travel and pushing things back, but you think about the Carolina Panthers having to get back across the country and then get prepared for a game. Now, luckily, it's home, so you're not having to come back and then travel again somewhere else. But that's a long ways. That's quite a journey and something that we're going to have to monitor, of course, the health and status of everyone. Getting through these next 2 games is going to be important, staying healthy. Dave Canales did not want to divulge any information related to Bryce Young and the status of his ankle, where things sit, what's going to happen, if they're going to scan and do images or any of that. He said he would provide an update on Thursday for everyone else. So that's the pace that we will move at. So I had number 2 on my list. The Panthers are 6-5 and second in the NFC South. Is this team a legitimate playoff contender, or was the win over Atlanta a fluke? And I do think they are. I'm leaning 60 to 70% legitimate playoff contender. There's still things that make you go, well, yeah, you got to fix this or fix that. But if we can see the performance that we've seen against the Packers, the performance that we saw in the second half against the Falcons, some of the other nice games that they've put together, figured out how to get wins, then I do have some confidence in this being a playoff team. And I'm just excited for us to, again, have the conversation because it's been way too long. Of course, you don't want to go into a very long offseason. As fans of this team, as players that are on the team, hating the idea of being so close and not being able to get over that mark because you just don't know year to year what's going to happen. We've seen the amount of injuries and just things that can come up and derail your season. So you want to take advantage of any and all opportunities that you can get. Number 3 on my list, the rise of this receiving core. And is that going to continue? So that's part of the reason we saw so much success. Tedero McMillan, who's every bit of the part of the number 1 receiver. And even hearing Dave Canales talk about the usage of Tedero McMillan and trying to get him some nice, better opportunities, so to speak. You look at a 3-by-1 or sets where you've got 2 to 3 receivers on one side and he's one-on-one on the backside with AJ Terrell or the best corner that they've got and maybe a safety help over the top or backers underneath that can help in the coverage, trying to get him in a position in the slot or lined up as, the second option so that he can have some chances to get it. Now, I think he's going to develop and continue to progress. And Panthers absolutely hit a home run with him and this entire draft class. And you look at some of the undrafted guys being able to come around is, this team's starting to find it, man. And they're believing in what Dave Canales is selling to them Nice day from Corey Thornton. I'll plug that on the side. And he got some nice shout outs from Dave Canales earlier today as well. On my list at number 3, but I guess going back to that, just understanding how successful can the Panthers be with this receiving core moving forward. A lot more Jalen Coker, so a good mix of XL. All those things are important. Speaking in the rookie class, undrafted free agent Ryan Fitzgerald, who continues to dominate, another game-winning kick, 3rd on the season. We're going to need him, and special teams play is going to be important. Now, we did get news that Eddie Pinheiro, kicker for the 49ers, not going to be in action on Monday Night Football, so I have no idea who the 49ers are going to pull in to that role. So unfortunately, we don't see Eddie. I'm a fan of Eddie. You guys know that, at least those that have followed me since the very early days. But we'll see how that pans out. But hats off to Ryan Fitzgerald, who continues to deliver. It's hard to think back to, a Panthers team, at least the last few years, where we haven't had to worry about the kicking position on this team. And lastly, Panthers as underdogs in primetime on Monday Night Football against the 49ers. We think about what is a key to success. How are they going to do this? How are they going to pull off the upset? We look at this past week and we said, well, the Atlanta Falcons passing defense is really good. One of the top in the NFL. There's no way that Bryce is going to be able to light them up, so we're going to have to run the ball, and the inverse happens. So I think from our side, looking at the offense, being able to take whatever you can get, whether it is through the air or on the ground, utilizing that. On the defensive side of the ball, of course, being able to slow down Christian McCaffrey, which is easier said than done. But for the Panthers to hold Bijan Robinson to 11 yards in the second half, it does give me a little bit of hope, a small dose of confidence to feel like, okay, you know what, down the stretch, maybe, just maybe the Carolina Panthers are going to be able to figure out how to do this and stack it up, man. That's all that we can ask for. I'm going to go back. I'm not going to play it for you guys today. Unfortunately, I don't have everything hooked up the way that I should, but I did want to pull out a few other notes if I can on the Dave Canales presser. He did talk about his play calling sheet that he brings in about 110 to 120 play calls. Those do include your 2-minute drills, your one-word fast plays. So in reality, you probably have 75, 80 plays. He pretty much called everything that he could call on Sunday. As I mentioned, he did highlight Corey Thornton's performance, who started to see more playing time, attributed that to his consistent improvements in practice, his focus on details, competitive nature, and his physical attributes being a good matchup against Drake London. So that's why we saw a little bit more of him. I talked about Bryce Young's condition and where he sits. Everything's going to be deferred until the Thursday injury update, so no news right there, although it is a question for us as we monitor this, like what's going to happen. The tight end group, Canales recognizing the tight end trio, commending their toughness, detail orientation, and versatility, and being able to run block, pass protection, being able to get involved in the passing game. And he does feel like there's more on the field, more opportunity for those guys. The distribution of the football coming into this week, he said he knew that there was a good chance that T-Mac was going to get buttoned up over there, have A.J. Terrell follow him. So it gives you an opportunity for Xavier League at XL to get some one-on-one opportunities, and that's exactly what happened. That is how he took advantage of that. Bryce Young to XL, they were able to make it happen. I talked about T-Mac and his versatility and being able to position him around based off of the matchups that we had. One of the things that was noted, and there were some questions around this about why the Panthers chose to wait until 4th down to kick the ball. He said that that was something that he has built, like that he's known. That's his process. So he goes, runs a few plays, and always kicks it on 4th down. Of course, if, depending on the situation, what happens, you may have to adjust, but that was the reason why. And he said, you never know, maybe you break one across. Now, there's some questioning about Monday Night Football, with this being an opportunity for, playoffs, a playoff preview. He just continues to talk about these being championship moments. big part of who he is as a coach. And you know what? A lot of people, at least in that locker room, excited to have him leading the way. Jalen Coker's increased involvement. He expressed some excitement about Coker, what he's been able to do. And I hope we continue to see him. Claude and Cherilus stepping up, being efficient. Christian Roseboom did wear the green dots. We got confirmation on that. But when he went out later, Claude and Cherilus did take that over. So it was good. And like we said, the weekly adjustment with the bonus day for recovery, good opportunity. And Bam Martin Scott, who was also called out for the forced fumble, also made a play earlier in the game as Dave Canales called out. So that's going to do it, man. That's all your latest news. We'll, of course, have our official preview of the San Francisco 49ers. We'll continue to have more content like we always do. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.